Let me introduce you to our new Warframe, Oraxia. She's a spider frame and also a great weapons platform, and honestly, she might be your new favorite frame. So we're going to go over how to acquire her, how to use her, and most importantly, how to build her. I hope you guys enjoy. So with the new Iowa update, we are going back to Deviri, and there is a new event that you can actually go and do right now at the time of this recording. So you want to make sure that you go and do that, but within this event, you will have to fight Oraxia, which is the new Warframe within Deviri, and once you defeat her, you can get parts for her, and also you get these materials called Scuttler Husk. And this will allow you to purchase parts for Oraxia. And it's just like Temple. If you ever got Temple, it's just like that. You get certain materials and then you are able to buy the Warframe's parts separately. And by doing this, you can go to Dominus Thrax in the Dormer Zone and you can basically buy all of these parts from him and also the new weapons that come with Oraxia. He also does have an event store, and you can use certain materials that you get from completing the event to go and buy arcanes, skins, signas, and other good stuff. But let's get back to Oraxia. So first, now we need to go over her abilities because you can't understand anything without understanding abilities first. So her passive basically makes it so whenever you wall latch, you gain invisibility for 8 seconds. And this is very useful whenever you're in a pinch because you can just poof, go invisible, almost like Wisp if you've ever used Wisp before. So it's a very good passive for getting you out of sticky situations. So now moving on to our first ability, Mercy's Kiss. Whenever you leap onto an enemy, you can basically deal toxic damage and also have a chance to drop health or energy orbs. But if this enemy is below 50% health or at 50% health, you will instantly kill them and drop those orbs. So a very good ability. So for our next ability, Webbed Embrace, we will be able to trap enemies down inside of a cocoon and also increase damage vulnerability on them. And it also does tick damage over time of Toxin. And this damage vulnerability is increased by strength, but the max amount of webs that you can throw is not increased. And the radius is also increased by range. So a very good crowd control worthy ability, and who doesn't like crowd control on any Warframe? Now Oraxia's third ability, Widow's Brood. And basically this allows it so that whenever you throw this out and they're like darts. So whenever you throw these out, you can mark enemies, and whenever you kill those enemies, you spawn these little scuttlers and they go around and they do a shit ton of damage, like a lot of damage. So we will be going over that. Now for Araxia's final ability, Silken Shride, and basically you can turn into a spider. Araxia grows legs on her back and you're able to latch to walls by using your roll, and you also get increased toxin damage, and your weapons are actually imbued with toxin, and then whenever you wall latch you get extra damage, and whenever you kill enemies they explode and do explosion damage of toxin. So Araxia is literally a Spider-Man Siren, or I guess you could say Spider-Woman, but overall this ability is really great, and this would have to compete between the third ability and the fourth ability and being my favorites. So you're probably thinking, alright, so I know all of these abilities and what they do, but Ken, how do we use them and how do we build Araxia? You're not getting to the point. And don't worry, we're getting to that right now. So I have two builds for y'all. The first one is an active runner gunner build slash weapons platform at the same time. You're very active, moving around. It's this build. So first, looking at our aura slot, we have Summoner's Wraith, and this increases your Scuttler's damage by 75%. And then we have Intensify, Transient Fortitude, and these both increase strength. Strength is a must on really most Warframes. And then we have Archon Continuity, and what this is going to do is it's going to make our Toxin procs actually deal corrosive procs, which is way better because it armor strips. And then we have Vitality for extra health because our fourth actually does increase our health pool by a lot. And then we have Streamline just for efficiency and energy pool. Archon Stretch, and this is because our pet actually is going to have claws that deal electricity. And every time you get an electricity proc, you will also get energy regen, and I think it's 2 a second. And then we have Primed Flow for more energy pool and adaptation just so it can be more tanky. And then we have Arcane Energize for more energy. And our last one is Arcane Blessing so that we can be able to increase our health pool every time we pick up a health orb. So you could be thinking, Ken, don't you think this is a little overkill with all of the energy that you have here? But really it's not, because her fourth ability does drain energy, and it drains it pretty fast. Even with this build, I think it's 2.75 a second. So that's a lot of energy that you lose in a second, and that's also why we have Nourish or Subsumed over our first ability, so that we can have more energy on our pickups, and then that also is adding with Energize and our Archon Stretch that we're getting. So it's really great energy management. You shouldn't run out of energy, so that you can continue to always run and gun and kill anything in your path. So now that I've showed you the build, I'm going to show you a unique interaction with the Kuva Sobek, and you might have seen this before with Saren, but the Kuva Sobek does have this mod called Acid Shells, and whenever you kill an enemy, it basically makes them explode with toxin damage, and then whenever they explode, they do 45% of their max health. And then this is also especially good on Oraxia because she gives you more toxin damage. So more toxin damage on top of even more toxin damage that's infused with toxin damage. You are going to get a lot of damage with this Sobek. And I will give you what I was using in this clip, the build to the Sobek, and it works pretty decently. It's not the best build, but you don't really need that much investment to absolutely wipe the whole entire map like I did. And these are level 230 corrupted heavy gunners, and they are on Steel Path. So that kind of gives you an idea of how powerful this can be, and feel free to use this end game. Now moving on to our second and our final build, the Scuttler build, and this focuses on literally just spawning Scuttlers and letting them do all the work for you. And so this is going to be this build, and of course we are using Summoner's Wraith again, but we have a few changes. We're using Transient Fortitude and Blind Rage this time, just to increase our strength even more. We're going to keep on Archon Continuity because that Toxin procs will give you a Corrosive proc, and then we have Augur Message just for, more duration, and then Intensify for more strength, Prime Flow for our energy pool, Streamline is just so that we are at 45 efficiency without Streamline, so just a little bit of extra, efficiency on our actual abilities because we're going to be using them a lot and we don't want them to cost a whole bunch. So then we have Rolling Guard, and this is just for more survivability because you don't really have a lot of survivability on this build because your minions are going to be doing everything and you're going to be crowd controlling everything with your 2 as well. And we do have Roar on this build, and because Roar, whenever you proc it, it will buff those minions. So they are getting a Roar buff, and they proc Toxin, which Roar does actually buff their damage, and it also buffs their Toxin and their Corrosive procs, and mainly their Toxin procs so that they do more damage. Then we have Arcane Kamisado, and this makes it so that your minions will do more damage, and every time a minion kills something, it will actually increase the strength of your next ability cast. So then they will do even more damage, and your Roar will buff even more the next time that you cast it. And then we have Arcane Energize, basically just for more energy, and you're going to be consuming a lot of energy. So let's just make sure that we have that. And don't worry, y'all, I didn't forget about Tower Forged Archon Shards, or just normal Archon Shards, but I have 5 Emerald Shards, 2 for gaining max stacks of Corrosive, 2 for gaining Toxin status effects that do 45% more damage, and 1 for gaining 15% on Corrosive abilities that do more damage. So after fully building out Oraxia, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I personally think she is a great frame. I will be using her more and more as time comes, and I really enjoy all of her abilities, especially her 4th. I do enjoy the other build, weapons platform build, more than I enjoy the critter build and having all the scuttlers do everything for you. Well, that's all I have for you guys for this video, but I do want to remind you to make sure that you go and visit Dominus Thrax, and also go ahead and do that event for those cool rewards. such as Arcane Energize that we use in this build. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed the build, and I hope you guys have a good day. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.